Hello, and thank you for tuning in for today's episode of From the Desk of Precious Swain. As you see, we have a full house. I am so happy to have these ladies on today. These ladies are the author of My Journey Down the Road to Restoration. We all came together to share little bits of our story to help someone else understand that you can be restored, you can be healed, you can live after the pain. So this evening we have Miss Tiffany Capri Adcock, we have Miss Nichelle Ingram, we have Miss Tiaja Janae. I'm still saying it wrong. Say it.
Asha.
Tiasha Janae. I'm trying.
It's
and we
okay.
and we have Miss Tanya Hill. All of them bring a special essence to the story. Today will be like every other day. We're going to have a discussion, not so much on our chapters, but on real life. So, our first question will be, what is the goal that you have for your chapter? And we're going to start with Miss Tiffany. If you could tell us what is your goal for your chapter?
My goal for my chapter is just to reach the masses, the young and the old. Um, I just want people to know that they can be restored through forgiveness, and not just forgiving that person, but forgiving themselves, and that they don't have to live by their past.
So very true. And you, Miss Nichelle?
I hope it's not an echo because I'm on my phone. But with my chapter, I want to reach the masses as well. I want people to know that the condition of the road may change, but although no matter what the condition of the road is, you can continue to walk, persevere, and endure through any condition
Mhm.
and walk into restoration and obtain the victory and go from pain to power.
Very, very true. And Miss Tiasha.
Yes. So oh my goodness, this book is so amazing. When I heard the chapter, or not the chapter, but heard the title of the book, just the word restoration in itself means to be restored. And I'm not going to preach today. I am a minister, but I'm not going to preach, okay? But I am going to say this. When Jesus was on the cross, and what a time as this that we are launching this book as we approach Easter Sunday, when Jesus was risen from the dead. He was restored to where God originally had him. He was restored to his rightful place, his rightful home. And so when he died on the cross, he died for all of our sins, that we may live again and that we may be restored. And so when I think about the word restoration and all of these phenomenal women on this book project and my chapter in general, you know, is walk with Christ, walk with him. And I want others to know that he's right there, ready to restore you. And so as you are looking for others to forgive you, one thing that I would encourage you in this book is just to forgive yourself. It's
Yeah.
easy to be like, oh, please forgive me to others, but have you really forgiven yourself? And so as you go forth, think about all the things that you hold against yourself. Be your own best friend. When you talk to your best friend who's gone through some traumatic experience and it's something that they caused, it's hard for them to forgive themselves, but they're going to ask the person that they wronged to please forgive me. But did you forgive yourself? So be your own best friend. What would you tell your best friend in that instance? You would tell them it's okay. Don't worry. God got you. Be encouraged. Restore. So that's what I'm hoping for, not just my chapter, but all of our chapters, to just touch, like they said, the masses. We're not going for one person, and each one of our stories and testimonies are different. So I would just say that would be my takeaway.
Okay. And Miss Tanya, what is your goal?
My goal is to reach global, reach the women that we see, not only women, but men as well, need encouragement. And to know that your strength, the strength that's down deep down inside, when you feel like giving up, when you feel like you can't take anymore, don't forget where your strength comes from and who your strength comes from, and to continue to give the praise to Yahusha, and to allow him to work in your life and to strengthen you and to pull out of that dark, deep pit when you feel like giving up. You feel like word, you can't give another praise, but that he will give you that strength that can pull you up out of that deep, dark pit, that pit of I'm giving up and I'm not going any further. I can't open my mouth and give the praise anymore. And that's just to encourage the single mother, single father, and just to encourage people in general that God is there for you and he will help you through it. And I'm stopping, I'm cutting myself off, so
My goal for my chapter is the same as my goal for everybody else's chapter, in that it will get into the hands it is designed to get into and help the lives it is designed to help, because each of us have something different that we went through. All of it was traumatic, all of it was painful. In some cases, we could have made different decisions. In other cases, we had no control. And so that's where the balance comes in, because we don't always have the control we think we have. And forgiveness of ourselves, of the wrong person who did something wrong to us, right now, the world is a ball of fire. I guess is the easiest way I can say it. It is a ball of fire. It is like everybody talks about hell right now. It's kind of, you might as well say hell. You have snowstorms destroying the country. You have tornadoes coming the other way, destroying the country, and no one is really thinking about how this weather will impact our food supply, our homes, our livelihoods. And with all of this going on, then we're still carrying our personal pain, our personal heartbreak, because some of us don't realize that sometimes we get knocked down on purpose to force us to get back up. So, with that being the case, the second question is, you've told the story, you've shared the testimony. Are you ready for the questions that will come in your instant messenger, in your email, from people who haven't figured out how to grasp the healing, how to grasp the restoration, how to handle the get up? Are you ready and open to the questions that'll come? Tiff?
I would say yes, I'm ready and open to the questions that have come. I've been ready for a long time. I this is not my first go around on sharing a testimony, uh, and God has equipped me to be able to answer the questions that I need to answer, from far and near. Um, questions from family,
questions from friends, questions from people that I may not know or ever had an interaction with. I think God has equipped me, and I would say that He's probably equipped all of us to be able to answer those questions, or He wouldn't have put us in the path of being able to write our testimony out for the world to see.
So very true. And Miss Nichelle, what about you?
I say yes because I'm built for this. I believe that this is the set time for me. I say it's the set time for me to come forth now. Um, I describe myself as my now is a notable overcoming warrior. So I just believe that Yah has equipped me to be able to expound on the experience so that I can say something to help someone answer the questions and motivate, encourage, and inspire. So, yes, I'm ready.
Awesome, awesome. Tiasha.
Yes, ma'am. I am 100% ready. Being that I am an author, I've been an author since 2018. This is actually the ninth book that I have been blessed to be a part of, four of my own, and then, the five others. And there are six that's not in print as of right now, including this one that's on the way. However, initially that first book I was kind of worried about saying yes to that, but once I opened up and said, you know what, God, this is what you've called me to do, this is where you called me to be, you spoke life into me, you said this is what you want me to do, and I said whenever I give you my yes and my amen that I'm just going to go all in full throttle. And so whatever comes of it, I believe in transparency. And I believe that, all of those old back in the day times where they say, hey, what goes on in here stays in here, I don't live by that, because of the simple fact that that's where a lot of people need healing at. If nobody knows what you're going through or what you've been through, I believe that, nobody can help you because you're keeping this facade on as if, everything is okay. So that's why we talk about fake book. We post all the good, but never the bad. But I, want to encourage people to, not necessarily go out there and just broadcast all your business, but it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to let people know what you're going through. And it's okay to do those things because in order for you to get healing, you have to know that there's somebody else that's out there that has been where you are. And if you think that you're alone, you are going to be stuck in a place of bondage and
Hmm.
with chains on, and it's time to release. So yes, yes, and triple quadruple yes, I'm ready for whatever questions y'all have for us, not just me, because even if it's somebody that knows me personally, but they read each and every one of the other ladies chapters and they have a question, I'm like, let me send you over to her so you can ask her these questions. If you're scared, you want to ask me to ask them, I'll ask them. I don't even know them. However, I am not scared. Okay. So, whatever questions that you have, I'm sure these lovely ladies would be happy to answer those questions. And so am I. And that's why we wrote this book so that we can help others to heal. So, and restore. I'm
Awesome.
complete.
And Miss Tanya.
And Miss Tanya.
I agree with all of the ladies, just like them. I'm ready as well, and I am just I want to say I'm honored to be connected and put in this project with other ladies that have already written books, and so I think this whole experience is a blessing. And I am just like the rest of them. I'm ready for the questions and the experience and to help others because, like Tiasha, like she was saying, don't keep it as, don't tell all every nook and cranny. However, help others. You share something, because you never know what the next lady is going through. So yes, I'm ready.
Okay, that is extremely awesome because y'all already know I'm ready to run this mouth all the time. That's me. And so I am just very happy to have other ladies that answered the call. They didn't say, "Not me. What? No, I ain't doing that." Or any of that, that just answered the call and sent over their stories. Now, I will say you guys' stories vary in length, and so some were very minimal and some shared. But I will say the book is a tearjerker because each story is totally different. Totally different. None of us have the same story, right? But if you've ever experienced anything close to one of the stories, it's going to trigger that tear jerk. And so I guess my next question is, now that you've written the chapter, are you ready to go ahead and write the whole story? Are you ready for this to have been, and for Tiffany and Tiasha, this isn't their opening mark, but is are you ready to take the next jump and give a little more? Miss Tiff.
I would say yes. I'm ready to take the next jump and give a little more. My first book, like Tiasha said, my it was my testimony, but I was still a little bit scared to share um, too much detail or tell the full story. This has helped me to see, that I can tell the full and complete story. I've been sitting on writing the next part of my first book, and I believe that I'm ready, even with some of the experiences that I'm going through now with marriage, getting married within 6 months, and things of that nature, and moving to a whole new country within a year of meeting my husband, and just different things in life to tell the full story. I don't know if I'll be able to put every single thing in words and write out a whole book. It would be like, one of those books that you keep on the table that's too big to pick up if I was to write every single thing. But I'm willing to open up and share a little bit more. I'm not as timid as I was before. So yes, I'm ready.
I'm so very glad to hear that from you because aside from the pressure of writing the book, there was a lot of static about the book when you wrote it. There was a lot of up and down, a lot of things that, had prayer not been good, would make you cuss. Okay, just being transparent. And so I am excited to hear that you are now ready because you are a walking bestseller. But in addition to that, you are your testimony is one that will heal because so many young ladies go through similar situations and think they're the only one. They think they're damaged goods. They think they're worthless. And they need to know that you can yet be healed. So I'm really glad to hear that from you. Miss Nichelle.
For me, um, First of all, I'm very humbled and thankful that the Most High put me on your mind to participate in this project, in this book. And it really gave me a boost. Like, it's possible, and you can do this. And it is, I feel that it's time now. It's time now for me to rise up and my tell my story, because I do have a story that I believe is also a story of healing, perseverance, endurance. And after writing my chapter, I had to ask myself, what is the result of staying on the road, holding on to the word of the Most High, trusting Him, like it said in Mark 11:22, have faith in the Most High. When it seems like all odds were against me, I had naysayers and doubters all around me, but yet still walking, still staying up, still holding on to His word as an anchor to guide and to lead me. So it gave me that boost to go further. And the result is my own book. It's coming forth now. The result is coming forth now, healed, coming forth now, whole, coming forth now, restored. This is the set time to know that Yah heals on this side in the earth realm.
Yes.
Not only is He able to do it, but He can and He will. And I'm evidence. So it's time for me to tell that story, that the result is healing, breakthrough, and transformation. So, yes, I'm so thankful for this chapter, because this chapter is the prelude to to an introduction to my book. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. I am so, so glad to hear that. Whew, yes. And Miss Tiaja.
Man, that's a hard one to follow. She was doing her thing right there. I'm sitting over here like, woo, okay. Listen. But I'm just like that. It's just writing that story, just starting and putting a little bit. You can ask Precious. It was so hard for me to limit how much I put in there. I was like, what's the word count? I said, oh, okay. See, when you are a talker that writes or a writer that talks all the time, it's hard to kind of limit some of those things, because especially when you're wanting restoration and healing and deliverance to happen in somebody's life, you want to give them every single detail, you know and so I was like, so can I have a few more words? Because I just, I want to give it all. I just want to give it all. Now, it's just like writing that first book, Wake Up Winning, no matter what, I was kind of like, it was an interview process the way we did that book. So they transcribed an interview. And as we did that, I was answering the question so vaguely that she stopped the recording and was like, no ma'am, nobody's gonna get healed from that. I need you to dig deep and pull it out. So it was hard initially. And for anybody else who have never wrote a book before, it's gonna be hard for you too. But I have since became a publisher also, just like Precious, and we are like looking for women to go and tell their stories on purpose. And so, yes, I'm absolutely ready to tell my whole story, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God, because that is what He has called us to do. And we are firm believers, as publishers, that your story matters, and it don't just matter to you, and it's not just for you. I'm a believer that your story, your past, is His story. Your history, your past, His story. It belongs to God. He wrote it already. All we doing is living it. So it already has a beginning and end. And so we got to tell it. And if we don't tell it, there's going to be somebody out here waiting for healing and restoration and deliverance. And because we went to the grave with our story and did not give it back, we're going to have to be held accountable for that. That's blood on our hands. So, absolutely, yes, I am ready to tell my entire story. And if you don't want to hear it, I'm like, okay, you can leave, but somebody want to hear it. And one more thing, SW times four. Some will, some won't. So what? Somebody is waiting for you. So tell that story. I'm complete.
And Miss Tanya,
Yes, I would say that I'm ready. I'm like Michelle. It really gave me that boost. It gave me that courage to step out. Completed a book and I have it tucked away. And so it encouraged me and to get more serious about getting it out there because it does it's about knowing that you are enough, you know, because as women we can become broken and we can be broken down and you can be made to feel like you're just a piece of speck off of somebody's shoe and that you don't matter. And so the book is like an encouragement to us to and be an encouragement to men. However, me being a woman, it'll probably women. And this chapter, it really did encourage me to jump back in there, and is it Tiasha? Tiasha, she was saying that if you take it with you, it's not going to help anyone. You're not going through it just to be going through it. It's for not for you to just keep for yourself. The tears that you cry, it's not just your tears. That's for someone else. You know, for someone else to be encouraged by you. So yes, I'm ready.
that is that is very awesome. I will be honest and tell you, well, you guys know I'm 10 solo books in, so you know I'm being ready to just tell. But it's not because I'm vain or think that, but the Father, real quick version of the testimony, the Father told me to write the story. I didn't write the story. He told me to write the story. I didn't write the story. He told me to write the story. I didn't write the story. Next thing I knew, I was on my back sick. My blood pressure was so high. They couldn't understand why I didn't have a stroke. But I wasn't meant to have the stroke. He was just trying to get my attention. So I released my first two books from being bedridden. Okay. From that, I learned the hard way. If he says tell it, whether you like it or not, whether you think it's worth telling or not, you tell it because there's someone who needs it right then. And so I sometimes I'll still get into a shell where I don't want to really talk it or tell it or whatever, but I'm all in because I'm simply a vessel being used by the Father to help someone else realize that He's real, that He's really there. You know what I mean? Um, and sometimes we forget and we get all into the me of it, and the me is important, but He wrote our story before we were born. He already knew what we were going to go through, what He was going to allow us to experience, what He was going to bring us through, and what the result should be. Granted, of course, we have free will. Some of it doesn't go the way it's supposed to. And part of my story is about when you don't follow the Father and you use your free will because you have it, how you can find yourself in some very strange situations, but yet He will still deliver you and save you and restore you. And so, um, this is going to be the last question. And after the question, you guys can just have a actual discussion, you know. But I want to be mindful of everyone's time. Now that you've told this portion of your story, this is why there was a word count. I wanted, I only wanted to release the restoration, but leave you all the space in the world to still be able to release your own book, because it's just where it goes from there. But there's so many people out there that deal with us daily that are scared to tell their story, that are scared to even talk about it in therapy. Because if you can't write the story and you don't want to tell the public, you still need to heal. And we as a culture are almost taught that therapy is not good, but we need a release, right? I don't know about y'all. I needed a release. Um, can you share a tip, I guess I would say, for helping someone else be able to release? They might not be able to write like we did, but they need to release to find healing. Miss Tiff, what would you recommend as a source of release?
So even though you may not be able to write a book, writing it down, maybe writing on a piece of paper, index card, just some words, things that you want to release out. Often I tell a lot of young women, you a lot of times they don't want to write it down because they don't want somebody to see it. But if you write it down, maybe burn it, tear it up, throw it in the trash. When you're done writing it, then that's still releasing what it is in your heart and in your mind that you want to say, that you want to get off of your chest. Um, or and also finding someone that you can depend on to not go out there and tell your whole story before you're able to tell your own testimony. And whether that's in therapy, or I always put myself around older women, the older church women, um, that can give you that wisdom and that encouragement, because it may not be family, it may not be your best friend who you feel like that you could tell everything to. It's gonna
Mhm.
be somebody, or it's gonna be that piece of paper or that sticky note that allows you and helps you to release what it is that God has for you. And then get with God. Your relationship with God is the most important. If you can't talk to anybody, you can always talk to Him. So that would be what I would tell someone.
Thank you so much. Miss Nichelle, what
For
would be
me,
your tip?
what 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 it would be for me is what I did. um, I wrote letters, dear Abba, and I just talked to him and told him about it, like in a journal form, or sometimes I would do it as a voice memo. And sometimes it would be dear Abba, or sometimes it would be dear better me. And journaling. Or the third thing would be if you could find a very solid individual that you could converse with, that would just be or a listener, or someone that could would be relatable, find your story relatable, that they could talk with you and as well as listen. So that's what I would advise.
Okay. And you, Miss Tiasha.
Yes, ma'am. I am totally with them. I'm fighting tears over here, but I'm with them. I am a strong believer of Habakkuk 2:2-4. It said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he who read may run it. Your story is your test that you will turn into a testimony. And so the more you tell it, the more you get comfortable releasing it, the better you feel. And not just you, but the better you feel to help somebody else through their situation. And
Mhm.
so, as God gives you a test and a dream or a vision, whatever it is that you're going through, and you put it on paper, you keep it in a safe place. I don't care if you have to put it in a fire safe box, but go back and revisit those pages that you wrote down. I don't care if you put it on an envelope, you write it on the back of a magazine, it don't even matter. But keep up with it, because each one of those stories, those testimonies, those messages, those prayers, they are all puzzle pieces that will one day you can either, as Precious is saying, write your whole story, or they can be a memoir or of something of some sort, to a story for your grandchildren, something so that they can see. Because as you look at the Bible, all of those stories, the Bible means basic instructions before leaving this earth. And so, what we are looking at are stories that are to guide us, our direction for our lives. But when we put our stories in those books or on paper, and our children and our children's children and all of those that come behind us, they get a direction for their lives, because they feel like they're alone. They feel like they don't have nobody that they can go to or talk to, or nobody has went through it. Because we look at our grandmothers and our great grandmothers, and you're like, they're so strong. How did they do this? Right? So we got
Mhm.
these stories, these questions, these answers we're looking for, and God gives you the answers. When you go to help somebody else and you praying for them, that's when it boomerangs back to you. So keep track of all of that. Write it down. I'm with them. Write it.
And Miss Tanya, what do you think? What is your
Do you
thoughts on
think?
this?
What is your thoughts on this? I'm with the other ladies as well. Write it down, journal, um, and just write down what you're going through. Don't be afraid to write it down on paper. I still, at times, will go back and revisit some of the experiences I've had in life when I was married, just through those hard times. And it can even bring tears now. And it's not because I'm still hurt, it's I will tear up because of how much I've grown from that spot, and how Abba Yah has brought me, how far He has brought me. So when you write it down, like they said, tuck it away or burn it if you feel better just destroying it. If it's something that you just need to get off that you don't know, then yeah, burn it. If you can just journal and write it down, then in a year, go back in a year and revisit and see how far He has brought you, because He will bring you far from it, and you'll see how much you've grown.
That is extremely true. It is so extremely true. I really thank you guys so much for taking the time to come on this evening. I really you guys have no idea how thankful, how truly thankful I am that you guys participated. Um, because even though I'm doing the footwork, it's not my book. By no means is this my book. This the father gives the instruction, and then you do what he told you. And so with that being the case, I have no fear in the fact that someone will be benefited from it. It may be someone we know, it may be someone we don't. You know what I mean? We really don't know whose hands and what limitations, because I was sitting here minding my own business, and in my spirit heard translated into Spanish. I don't speak a lick of Spanish. Okay. And I reached out to the girl who did the cover and said, "Hey, I need the cover in Spanish." And she said, "Okay." And so I was going to reach out to find someone to take and translate everything into Spanish. And while I was doing that, and this is going to sound so weird, but a message pops up in my stream telling me about Google Translate. And I'm not realizing it'll take a whole document and do it. But I went up and clicked tools in that thing, and it said translate the whole document. I say, okay, this is going to be less expensive, definitely, than I thought it was. And this is going to be quicker than I thought it was. And so then I was sitting here, I said, oh my goodness, I'm so rude. I didn't ask them first. Well, it was done. It was a wrap. Okay. So I said, I'll tell them during the call. But for all of those of you who have decided to tune in, whether this is the live or the replay, we thank you. And I just want you to remember this scripture. Keep this scripture in mind. Revelations 12:11. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. So let me back up a little. And they overcame him. Well, who is him? The enemy. They overcame the enemy. We all already expect by the blood of the Messiah. We already expect that. We already know that the Messiah is the key. But then, but by the words of their testimony. And so you may be saying, why do my testimony mean so much? Believe it or not, when you look at your testimony glorifies the Most High. Because people get it twisted and think you can go talk to a leaf and the leaf is going to give you new life. Or that you can go talk to the statue that can't even dust itself, and the statue is going to give you new life. But when you look at your testimony, no one gets the credit but the Father. There's no one else to give it to. It's really no one else to give it to. So when we look at it from that perspective, how could we not tell our story? And sometimes I look at my story and say, P, people gonna look at you so funny. You were hell in a handbasket, child. But to see me here today, from where I was, tears rolled down my eyes. There were days I didn't think I would make it. And my children, I have 7 adult children. And some people would have assumed, because of the lifestyle that I lived, that the stats for my kids would be terrible. But I am blessed that only one of those 7 is incarcerated, and the rest of them have careers, not jobs. They're not flipping burgers at Wendy's or nothing like that. No offense to anybody who does, because that is the starting point. But they have found their place through prayer and have established a path, and will tell you if you talk to them that the Most High put them on that path. They don't give me the credit because it ain't my credit. I was acting a donkey. They don't take the credit, but they acknowledge immediately that the Most High covered them through their mother's ignorance. Okay? That my ignorance would not be the downfall of them. And so we sometimes get caught up now. We sometimes get caught up because Tiff is my cousin, so she already know, okay, where the ignorance comes from. She knows where it comes from, okay? But you don't have to be what you came from. At any given time, the Father can cut the tie, allow you to see that for what it is, and put you in a whole different situation. And so I thank each of you for sharing that. I thank each of you for being live. For those who are watching, please, please, please go to one of their pages, find their link, and order the book from one of these ladies. Please, please, please. They will have ability to sell you physical copies. If you just want an ebook, of course you can find it on Kindle, Nook, Google Play, and it will be on iBooks in about 2 weeks. But get a physical copy. Let them sign it for you. Let them write their favorite scripture in it for you. Let them share some of their spirit with you because time is is moving quick, and we would want you to identify and get to know the Father before it is too late. Thank you for tuning in for tonight's episode of From the Desk of Precious Swain.